Obviously, I don't need any makeup or anything like that.
No, you don't need makeup. It's
Awesome. So take one. Action.
okay. So first question: who are you? Tell me about yourself.
Okay, well, my name's Anthony. I've been training in martial arts now for about 32 years, karate in particular. I'm now the senior instructor for GK Karate in New Zealand, which means my responsibilities are classes up from Auckland all the way down through to Christchurch.
My name is Sinan Harry. I am the head instructor of a dojo in Pakuranga. The style is Okinawan Kotoru. I am a 6th dan or Ruku dan in karate and a 5th dan in Kambudo. Kambudo is weapons. My title is Shihan.
What was training and fighting for you back then when you started to learn karate?
One word, harder. Very hard. It was back in those days, before I knew it. When I started was a style called Kokushinkai, and we transitioned over to Goju-Ryu. We basically have two forms of fighting. Well, we have many forms, but the main two is Randori, which is prearranged controlled fighting, and Kumite, which is full contact with some control. You don't want to obviously damage the guy. But back in my younger days, it was more Kumite. It was full contact. I always had bruises, and gosh, my mum pleaded many times for me to stop, but no, it didn't work. But yeah, today it's a lot easier. I won't say easier, a lot more carefully corrugated, so you don't get too many injuries, or will keep your ego in check, put it that way.
Well, knowing that I started karate for self-defense, training and fighting for me was very much around aggressive fighting. I like doing fighting, kumite, we call that kumite. But again, same thing, it made me, it was hard training. It was very hard training back then, and a lot more rigid, you would describe it today as harsher. But so for training for me was ultimately become fitter, become stronger, become harder, in anticipation of, for me, what was really heavy in my time was being bullied, so potentially for me fighting.
Three! Has there been any major changes to how we train now to back then?
Major changes? I would say yes. I think any person, a student and or instructor who is training today that was training 30 years ago would say it's quite different today than what it was 30 years ago. The difference, I think, for myself, the way I see it, would be that, I won't speak for other people in general, but the description might very well be that it's not as hard today as it was back then. So back then classes were like really, not militaristic, but really hard, really strong, go, go, go. And there are elements of that still in some clubs and in some classes that we run. But overall, I would suggest that what the students did back then and what they went through back then is not similar to what it is today.
Now, attitude of training, we had a saying in my dojo was, no pain, no gain. And that's the most stupidest advice I come to realise I've ever been given. Good pain is good, which is, you get sore muscles, the muscles grow and they develop. Bad pain is when you get joint damage or ligament damage and stuff, and you keep training on that.
Why do you think these changes were made?
Well, in my dojo, I have definitely removed this no pain, no gain out of it. I have adults training with me. They've got to work the next day, or go to school, or do something. It's you got to take care of your body. If you take looking after your body, if you've got injuries of your knees or your joints, your ligaments and stuff, stop, recover, come back. Eventually, you'll train longer, as in longer in life. And when you are training, you'll train a lot better, a lot more effective. With sports karate, it's about scoring of points, weight divisions and showy demonstrations, i.e. doing kata and stuff.
I think you've got to move with the times. There's a saying out there that says, if you don't change with the times, you become a dinosaur, extinct. And so, as people have changed overall, the way we approach things has become different. Therefore, the way we teach classes has had to alter with that.
And last question, what are the pros or cons to these changes?
Obviously, well, no pain, no gain, removing that out of it is removing the ego out of your training. It's a massive thing. Your ego can get you into trouble. If you look after your body, You'll live longer, you'll live healthier, and you'll be better. A con, you don't push yourself as hard. You don't find your boundaries. You can push yourself out of the comfort zone, but you don't know how far you can go when you are in a dire situation. You may have some pain that you cannot manage, and not learning to do it. And for sports karate, the pro is, there's only really two places that are comfortable for you to basically test yourself in karate. One is in the dojo, under your supervision of your instructors, senseis or shihans or whatever. And the other place is in a tournament where there's rules and you won't hurt yourself. The con, people believe sports karate is a good form of self-defense. That would be the furthest from the truth, I think. To me, scoring of points, like weight divisions and showy katas and stuff, and screaming and everything else, I think that's delusional a wee bit.
Pros and cons. Okay, so let's start with the cons. With the training that we're doing, I don't think people are as strong today as they used to be. I think people were stronger and harder and more resilient back then than today, given training. If we look at some pros, I would say that we now retain more students than we used to. What does that mean? Well, what that means is there's more potential for someone to be able to, if we retain students and they last longer within any martial arts training system, there is greater scope for them to improve themselves over time. All students come to training for a reason. Some come to training because they are really keen to learn something from a defensive perspective, be it self-defense, be it confidence. Some people want to come and train, or parents bring them to train because they want them to improve with discipline and with focus. So if we have changed ourselves in a way that people last longer within all our martial arts across the board, there's greater scope and potential for these children or adults to pick up these skills and then stay with us for longer. One of the other things I think that is a pro with the way we do martial arts now is that we are much more collaborative with the students. It used to be very, as I said before, militaristic. You'll do this, you'll do this, you'll do this. Nowadays, it's a lot more like, well, what do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go? And one thing that's important that I think we certainly need in society that I don't see getting done in other places so much is, I'm going to use the word goal setting. I don't like it, but I'm going to use the word goal setting. And that is, you start off as a white belt, your next belt for our style is yellow, your next one's orange, your next one's green. And so we discuss, okay, well, you're here, what do you want to do for your next belt? How long do you want to take? How many classes? How are you going to achieve that? And so there's problem solving in there. And so before that was never discussed so much with me as a student. The ones who are really keen and really hungry, trained hard to get there, those who weren't so much tended to be knocked off the sides. Nowadays, there's a lot more work with collaborating with people and saying, okay, well, you're here, here's where you want to go, what do you want to do? Let's train towards that.